I ain't mad at you. Hold on now. Okay, it says we're live. So hold on. Let
Denver
me see.
Nuggets.
The Denver Nuggets.
There's a star that wasn't realized.
Yeah. Never again. Here we go.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
Let's bring the rock.
Why were you made? I was made to be happy.
$10, you don't know who this is.
No,
That's our 14, right? That's our boy.
love goodness.
Life is worth living, or
I made for God.
whatever the show was called.
Banger show.
Quiero que se saque afuera.
Like the Godfather. He's the original gangster when it comes to media evangelization.
Here we go. You are listening to the Holy Ruckus podcast, episode number 65, 56. I don't know. We just jumped a few. Hello. Good morning. How's it going, Father Pat?
I'm blessed, Josh. I hope you're the same. How's your family?
Family's doing good. I did rough up my son's kneecaps the other day, or this morning. We went out for a little walk, and there's like a little ledge, like with like handlebar, like where you can just walk. It's like a little fence, you know. And we're skirting along the fence. I got little JoJo. We're walking through, and then it's a brick. There's a brick layer to it too, where he can just jump off. It's like a foot, and he's holding my hand, and I didn't clear him out of the way of the jump. And so his whole right side of his leg is like muffed up, scraped, and bleeding because I didn't like pull him away. And so that was fun. How are you?
Well, my knees are both intact, if that's what you're asking. I'm unscathed. No, I'm super excited and pumped that we're recording from the new digs. I'm in my new living arrangement. I'm here really back again in Largo, Maryland, Upper Marlboro area. Yeah, I'm loving it. It's
dirty.
Exactly. I guess we recorded, with Coach Kramer from the office downstairs, but now I'm back to the light. I've come into the light. Oh, I've also got some exciting news to share. I don't know if I bragged about this mediocrity before, but I am in possession of one World Spades Champion trophy, and now, as of a week, 2 weeks, am the proud four-peat champions of this annual tournament that I play with my close buddies. So once a year, we get together, and this year, because of the COVID, we've been playing cards online. I don't know. You like to play cards? Are you a cards player?
No, not at all. I'm super bored.
Go fetch maid or old fish, whatever.
Okay.
So this is a spades tournament. It's our favorite game. We played it for years. We all have very strong opinions about it. This year was not without its controversy because after a three-peat last year, I was fully expecting that they would break up the dynasty that is me and one of my close buddies. They're all, best friends from childhood.
Okay.
But the one that I've been playing with, he's one of the two strongest players. So he makes me look really, really good. Anyway, so we've been together for 4 years in a row now. And we get to the championship. It's like a double elimination bracket. And we got super lucky with the cards. I mean, that's cards, right? That's the nature of the beast. It's like you can't say whether you're going to get good cards or bad cards. It's literally a random chance drawing through the shuffle. And this was, an online shuffle, so even less to do with us. But let me just say the finish was kind of a glorious comeback and very controversial as a result. But now, I'm four times a champion, baby.
Okay. And is it just for bragging rights? So you get some money? What do you put down on this? What do you put down, like relics? Like if I win, I get a Goretti relic.
I put up my Maria Goretti against your John Vianney. So we do have this like garage sale rugby style bowl trophy. I'm pretty sure I've showed it off in a previous episode. It'll make a comeback when I get my set up. Actually, it'll be lucky if I feature it once more because I have to give it to my since we're 4 times a champion, we alternate years who keeps it in possession. So I'm transferring it to my playing partner next time I see the guy. But suffice to say, it is. So I carried this trophy as an accessory, kind of a like, like anyone would their pocketbook and or their BlackBerry back in the day when people had Blackberries. So
Were you a BlackBerry guy?
No, I was never a BlackBerry guy. I mean, I joined the new age with a Razor. That was my first
Razor guy.
Cell phone in like 2004. So this trophy, which is literally just like a bowl, it's a silver bowl like trophy that we've like painted our names onto the side of it, the wooden base. It came with me to commencement when I graduated from Catholic University last year.
Serious.
So all these looks, all these like, whispers, around me as like I was passing by, people were like, "Oh my gosh, what did that guy do? Oh, he's a priest. Is that some kind of priesting award or something? Is he a rugby player?" This is how I've shared my life with the world and Catholic University last year.
Serious.
So controversial this year. We did bring down the 4P. Jordan, one of the candidates for greatest of all time. Jordan himself never had 4 champions.
No, he had 6,
but not in a row.
Yeah, there you go.
If I get to 6, I'll be in that rarefied air. And honest to goodness, they're going to let us play together again next year because like everybody wants a shot at us. We've got a big old target on our backs. So.
It's incredible that you're so proud of yourself and you have no trophy for it. I can't wait to see it. But hey, here it is. So sometimes when I'm bored and this early in the morning on a Friday morning, and I apologize, I'm recovering from a little bit of a cold. It's not corona to my knowledge. I don't show any of the symptoms. I mean, runny nose and whatever. But did you hear about this? So what's trending on the Twitter today? As I look down, what do you think I see? Let's see.
Oh man, not being on the Twitter, but just guessing.
Yes.
There's got to be some DNC stuff, right? Some Kamala Harris, Biden.
It's Kamala Harris, first of all.
Sorry.
Yeah, just in case. But let's see. Hockey analyst faces backlash over comment about women in the NHL bubble. I didn't even know they were playing. Wait, I didn't know. You told me. You told me they were playing. Something about Chris Brown. Something about WAP. I'm not gonna touch that.
Cardi B's WAP.
Yeah. No. Too much WAP for me.
For the show.
That's for the late show. This is the morning show.
That's right. The after.
Oh my god, this is a hangover. No, just kidding. Let's see. Okay, well, did you watch the DNC? I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch it. What? No. Go ahead.
I don't. My opinion is that I will watch the general election and sometimes the primary debates as well, just to kind of get the cut of people's jib and to read between the lines. But the convention speeches, to me, it amounts to like a lot of self-promotion by nature. It just is what it is. It's like a very self-aggrandizing kind of self-congratulatory thing on both sides. So that the conventions are not my speed, but I'll listen to the
Yeah, no, it's not either. But it's some of the DNCs was some of the Democrats' greatest hits. They trotted out all their favorites, all the ones that won't go away. My man Bernie, they got to wheel him out there under his own strength. You got your girl Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, not pictured in the same room. Who knows why? And who else you got? I mean, you got to have the Obamas. I mean, it's like you got to have like they're it right now. Like that's
I kind of figured that they would be featured more prominently up to this point, but I guess they've hung back.
Were it really?
Well, yeah, I mean, in the primary, I didn't hear too much about their support of Biden. I don't know. Maybe they were waiting to see that he would lock it up, but now they're coming out strong for him.
Raise the roof, raise the roof. No, just kidding. That's this isn't going to be that kind of show. But I do want to say though, it was interesting to see that both. Well, was there a Republican convention or no?
Mm-hmm.
Did that get no play on the airwaves?
It doesn't get. It didn't get the same kind of attention or generate the same kind of buzz. No.
Who was hosting? Tim Allen? Like what? Why did not? I mean, not I was going to watch. I wasn't going to watch.
I don't know. I think weren't they going to have it in person and down, and it was going to be down in Atlanta, and I don't know if they ran into like problem after problem, like trying to pull it off.
They couldn't figure out the Wi-Fi password wherever they were. No, but the one thing I did see or hear was that they both had prominent like Catholic priests leading the prayers. Did you hear about this? And let's stay on the one that caught the most attention. Father James Martin, right? Still a priest as of what? 11/26, like still a priest, right? Still a priest of God, right? The whole thing. Oh, okay. Apparently we're wrong. August 24th, 27th. That's the RNC. Well, they still have their
they haven't had.
Yeah. So thank you, Medina. But the one thing I do know is that Father James Martin led the prayer before the convention. Did you see this prayer?
I have not. No.
Yeah. Let's look at this prayer. And I don't know I know how a lot of conservative Catholics feel about James Martin.
Oh yeah.
Calling them all sorts of things, but and I'm not going to touch that either. But what I'm going to say is, here's a prayer of welcome, and I want to read this, and maybe we can start with this a little bit because I think it's pretty good. It says, "Loving God, open our hearts to those in most need. The unemployed parent worried about feeding his or her children, the woman who is underpaid, harassed, or abused, the Black man and woman who fear for their lives, the immigrant at the border longing for safety, the homeless person looking for a meal, the LGBT teen who is bullied, the unborn child in the womb, the inmate on death row. Help us to be a nation where every life is sacred, all people are loved, and all are welcome. Amen." How dare he?
The fact that he put in the unborn child in the womb is a pretty bold move at a DNC, literally at the platform convention. I mean, I know that there's a strong tradition of different ministers of faith opening, a session of Congress in prayer, and that's a long-standing tradition, despite like the atheists' accusation of separation of church and state, even though like it in no way violates the establishment clause of the Constitution, but conversation. I don't know. This is not that. This is not like a bipartisan thing. This is a very partisan event. Like, he's only talking to Democrats, right?
Yep.
So like, that's one thing.
No, they will. I'm gonna let you keep going, but there's more to it. Go ahead.
But I would say the other thing is like, well, I'm glad they still have prayer because they've been little by little becoming so the idea is out on the left, like you can't have school prayer, you can't have God in public, the public space, the public sphere. So I'm pleased at that.
And it is ballsy. Yes, it is a bipartisan or a partisan kind of event. Obviously, only Democrats, but no surprises were that even homeboys like John Kasich, known Republicans or whatever, are saying how, years ago, we thought this, but now we know the reality, and I have all my support on Biden. Like, so people are jumping ship and they're going to the other boat. So who knows? And we'll pray for that. But I just thought it was interesting. I wanted to share that prayer because it is pretty ballsy for Father James Martin to bring in the unborn at an event. I want to see what Nancy Pelosi's face was, but and get that feed. Anyway, here we are on a Friday morning. Thanks for listening to the Holy Ruckus podcast and watching it now on our StreamYard broadcast. Little fancier, little way we can actually do things. I'm gonna do it like this from here on out, hopefully. But Father, what do you have for us today? What are we talking about? Give me some love. What do you think?
Yeah, so one of the things that I really want to talk about that we've definitely been kind of dancing around just because of sharing the news is the fact that it is an election year, and it's unavoidable. It's kind of everywhere. It comes up in conversations with random people at the supermarket, although nowadays that's behind masks and 6 feet apart from one another, but nonetheless it's everywhere. It's unavoidable, and people have their strongest ideas. And actually I kind of want to just encourage people on how to keep the faith, even at a time when hearts and minds are being tested, especially against our neighbors, because besides, I think we've mentioned this before, besides our religious beliefs, like our political views are some of our strongest, like most important views that we hold in our hearts. And at times, especially as Americans, it's the first thing that we hold in our hearts. Like our first allegiance is to our political
party. Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I don't believe that that's a very insulting observation to make, although some people may definitely disagree. It's up for debate. In other words, that like now it's not clear how many people think that their political affiliation and their views, their opinions in the public sphere are as important, if not more important, than their religious, spiritual convictions. So with that in mind, I just want to ask you, like, how do you weather the storm? Like, how do you continue to, live out your faith and try and let that be one of the most defining things about yourself at a time when our relationships are really tested? It can be very contentious. You can't say much online without inflicting backlash or, stirring up the pot. So how do you stay Catholic and, be a voter, be a responsible voter?
Sure. That's a great kind of way to kind of frame this, because I think sometimes we do lead with our political ideology first, or whatever we side with. And it's funny because a lot of times we do say like, well, what do you don't talk about? Like religion and politics. You don't talk about that at a bar or whatever. But what are we doing right now? We're talking about religion and politics at 11:30 in the morning. So we're messing. Yes, we are screwing with the paradigm of how things should be. And that's what the Holy Ruckus is. And we're trying to bring that and still ruffle feathers, but also do it with a sense of like, no, but I'm going to keep my conscience, my informed conscience about me, about me. And so for me, which I believe that for me, the Catholic faith is the truth. It's the fullness of the truth. I believe everything that the church teaches, albeit its method is not always perfect. The method and how it brings it. Well, so aside from obviously sacred scripture, sacred tradition, right? But when it comes to how we in our postmodern world, how we bring the faith, like that's flawed. Like we're flawed. Like I'm flawed. Like I'm going to be corrected, and I have to be, admonish the sinner, instruct the ignorant. Like there's a work of mercy there. So for me, like it always plays under that. So how do I do it? Or how do I try to do it? One, if I have a political anything to say, I'm not saying it on Facebook. No, no. Facebook, you're more than likely gonna get, pop, pop, pop. You're going to get people coming at you, and you're going to be in, and buckle up, because you're going to be in it for a while, because you're going to have your homies from your high school hit you up. You're going to have, your former youth ministers, 2 youth ministers ago, coming in. You're going to have that crazy, you're going to have people that are going to try to test you. And I always think of, be prepared to give a reason for your hope. Right. And if I'm praying it up, and maybe this is to the extreme, but like, I honestly do say a little prayer before I hit send. And I say, like, is this going to add to the conversation, or is this going to be just noise? Right. If it's just noise, I probably won't do it. I'll save it for Instagram and put it there. No one's really going to say too much there. And, but you're definitely more careful than you've ever been. At least I am as well, being as, like, I do the Holy Ruckus. I do other things for the church. I'm a teacher as well. So I can't be going back and forth with you all day. Like, there's a platform that I run and a public thing that I'm trying to do. You especially, Father, as well. Like, this. But then there's the messages that nobody sees, where we hit each other up with someone that doesn't agree with me. And that's where true opportunities for, like, metanoia or hopeful conversion, little seeds are planted, where I end up having the better conversations with my old friends or my political opponents or whatever, which is weird because, and I always made jokes about it, that Facebook doesn't know how to position me, because there's things on the left that I vibe with and there's things on the right that I vibe with. So my mini feed is not like on one day, it's like all Republican things. You might like this. And then on one day it's like, well, no, you might like all this left stuff. And it's, it's really funny. The algorithms and the things that they're trying to always put you one or the other. Right. And so with things like, and I want people to check this out, it's called the AND campaign, which is like a way to kind of bring your faith and talk about politics and bring it in, but always having your number one allegiance to the God above you. Right. But also understanding that God is in everyone. So when you go into those political dealings, so it's called the AND campaign, and I'm going to link it here as well. But that's a social media account that I really like. Huh?
I was not aware of that. I appreciate you educating.
Yeah, it's called the AND campaign. It's like the little symbol, the AND symbol, the ellipsis. It's not AND pizza. It's AND campaign. And it's so good. I really like it a lot, because it's really trying to talk about both things, but always remembering, like, who you belong to. The little Sister Thea Bowman talk, or quote, like, remember who you are and remember whose you are, right? And so definitely when you're getting into these things, like, but I feel like we revert to, like, well, I'm Christian and here's the lie, like, I'm supposed to be conservative. Like, no. I mean, at least I don't agree with that, but you're more from Southern Maryland, Father. Maybe you can give a little bit of your experience being in the Southern
well, I'll tell you
here. Go ahead.
That's actually a fine observation, because growing up in Montgomery County, that's one part of the state that is very blue, and now County is the same way, very, very blue. But Southern Maryland, for those years that I was down there, is one of the few parts of the state that is very, very red, like Frederick County.
No shortage of red.
So I mean, it's more conservative. Although
there's so much farmers' tans.
It did have for a long time running, Senator Dyson in the state legislature, who was a Catholic conservative Democrat. So it's an interesting area. It's got more history to it than what meets the eye. But I'll tell you, I think from the church, what I borrow, and I'm definitely going to check out the ampersand, the AND campaign.
Is that what it is? I call it the ellipsis.
I call AND pizza ampersand pizza to raise for like rolled eyes, rather frequently. But
you're that guy that goes to Arby's and say, like, what do you have? We have the meats.
like, and God and politics, I suppose, is the and idea. Because I never understood, like, what is the and pizza about? It's like drinks and pizza? Well,
You and pizza?
You and pizza. That makes sense.
I don't know. I really don't know.
There's me getting distracted again. But food. It's always food's fault. But I'll say that the church definitely has a reverence for and a respect for the via media. And this is a confusing idea in and of itself, because
you're going to spell that out, because I can't even spell that. What'd you call it?
The middle way is not itself where virtue lies. Like, we can't just take the average mean of, like, add up the sum total of what this view is and this view, and then find automatically the middle between those 2 points, and that's where the church should be. That's where the via media is, because sometimes the via media is a little bit more incongruous or closer to the part of the political spectrum that conservatives align with, and then other times it tilts towards the direction of the progressive or liberal camp. But the church does have a lot of reverence for that idea, at least as a general guiding principle. That the via media is usually where virtue lies, between extremes, in balance, or really, to think about just the person of Christ as an integrated whole, not living so myopically or in a certain way. In other words, like, to have a more full and integrated life, we have to find, the mean of extremes, and not give ourselves over to any one particular avenue. So this is like a general way of approaching the life of virtue, since a lot of us can fall into, by choice or have it thrust upon us by the way people view us, or reduce us to, like, just that one thing, like, oh, Josh is he's just my holy ruckus buddy. Like, that's it. That's all there is to him, really. When you rattled off like 3 or 4 things, just a few minutes ago, like, you're a dad, and you're a teacher, and you're an evangelist and a minister. So you can't be reduced to any one thing. And that's a much more authentic Catholic view of life. What I take umbrage with, and what I get most frustrated as a pastor of souls, as a parish priest, by seeing, is that we exist in these online spaces very differently from how we do in real world, one-on-one interaction. So I don't have protection from, my neighbor, right? Like, I don't have a shield between me and the guy who lives next door. Hopefully, although perhaps less and less frequently these days, both in COVID and pre-COVID, do I interact with the people that live literally, within a couple hundred yards of me. But online, I do have those barriers. Like, there are algorithms that allow me to get more and more ensconced and insulated by a sounding, an echo chamber, and that's what bothers me, when people only exist in the echo chamber of Facebook. It encourages this almost malignant growth, like this cancerous growth, I think, where the cells just keep replicating themselves, and until you eventually spin off into a place where we get our news from memes rather than from news sources. And the meme news is horrible. It's horrible because it's not, it doesn't cite sources. It doesn't explain where it's coming from. It's just pithy sayings trying to force points, often involve some kind of ad hominem attack against the person. These are not Christian ideals or views. It's fun, it's entertaining, but for one thing, it's not reaching my neighbor. It's not helping to change minds or anything, and it doesn't advance. So, like you were saying before you press the button send, you like to say a little prayer. Well, if I could, as a parish priest, make a suggestion, I would say, if you're preparing to share a politically themed meme, even one that made you laugh, I pause, invoke the name of Jesus, and then delete it, or walk away from it. I don't know that it's actually getting us anywhere, and in fact, I see a lot of people whose entire views and talking points when you engage them in a conversation are based off of these kind of like, these popularized, reduced, arguments to just visual media. It's really hard. It's really difficult to see somebody as, redeemable or loved by God if they've just been turned into like the butt of the joke the whole time. And this happens on both sides. It's not one thing. And I guess I'm in some sense naive, because the same principle has existed for years and years and years in political cartoons. Is Father Pat trying to assemble political cartoons in one fell swoop? I don't know. Satire itself is good for civilization. Satire, it does allow us to be better. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like just pure satire to me. It seems like it's now becoming the way that we like form our own opinions. So it's like if I'm telling you my political views about like being pro-life, then I'm also citing a joke. That doesn't sound accurate. Josh, I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted now. Unmuted. Am I good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was gonna say, and at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna stand the test of time. I don't think it's going to induce real change. But sometimes I just realize in my altercations or lovable conversations with folks in the social mediums, I realize, oh, hold on, you don't want to see my point. You just want to tell me something you've always wanted to tell me, or you want to, or you're projecting on me something else. It's like, so it's tough. People have a license to kill sometimes, and when it comes to these things, and it sucks because they would never say it to your face. And I challenge you to do that, say it with your chest, kind of things. And because I think that's so important. Like, come on, people are like, I call them Twitter gangsters, keyboard gangsters. Like, but would you honestly say that if we were, one-on-one, or would you, so interesting. And we do that I see that in sports as well. Skip Bayless and all these talking heads, or even Charles Barkley, or no, there was one, Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins is a basketball player, and he'd always mouth off and he talks about other athletes, but then later when he sees them, he says, "Oh no, it's just TV, it's just TV." And the person on the recipient end of being made fun of is like, "Nah, dude, like that's not authentic. Like you have to like be authentic, and like if you're gonna say something to me, and we see each other later, like bring it up." So it's interesting. But anyway, what's always more interesting than that? Something that you may know something about, Father Pat. I don't know if you do, but we got a recent comment. Becca Medina says, "Pupusas." Father Pat, what are pupusas?
Pupusas?
Yes.
Besides proof that God exists?
It may be.
They are. They're probably one of the few foods that I love to eat and don't have a clue how to make. And I understand like that there's some padding involved.
Yes.
I've also been taught more than once, because it didn't take the first time, that you cannot, should not, do not eat pupusas with a fork and a knife. It's hand food, and I guess they're like tortillas stuffed with something. Can be
queso. There you go. Well, Rebecca lays it out for us. Rebecca says, "Pupusa, a fat stuffed tortilla from El Salvador." There you go.
It's probably the reason why I've got some of these LBs. There's some pupusas down there. for sure.
I don't remember the context of why Pupusa came up. Oh wait, I do. Wait, hold on. It had to do with the WAP with the Cardi B song.
Oh,
so I'm saying the P word, you say Pupusa. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Holy Ruckus Podcast. If you haven't yet, let us know if you're watching. Let us know who's here, but also be a fan, be awesome, and support us. Let us know how much you love the Holy Ruckus. Share, comment, subscribe, follow, but also a shout out to our folks that are supporting us near and far. We got Michael Casimir, we got Matt O'Hara, Chuck and Angela, Brian Sheehan, Susan, Christina, Rebecca, who we just heard from, Laura, Jaime, Tim, Jacqueline. All these folks are Patreon supporters and counting, and you could be too. All you got to do is head over to patreon.com/theholyruckus_give. And we'll put a link on there. So you can give, whether it's $3, $5, $15, $30. Well, Father Pat come over your house and say, for free, he'll come out, depending on where you live, and he'll say a little blessing from a distance, socially distance in this Corona time. Play no games, say no names. You've been listening to the Holy Ruckus Podcast. Here we go as we put down the wheels. We're going to be done here in a little bit, but that's it. But Father Pat, go ahead. Here we are on the final stretch. What is new since the last time we spoke? I know you've shifted parishes, moved on. What else?
So we're in a point, like, looking ahead to the school year when we have to figure out, like, how are we going to do religious education? How are we going to, do catechesis, but also, like, continue with the liturgies, and how are we going to handle, supporting our parishes? And a lot of those things have to do with, like, just the correct reading of the times, like, where are we trending towards? How are things gonna go in the coming months? So we're kind of hunkering down as far as, like, bracing ourselves for a longer estrangement and isolation. And I think we're trying to be prudent, handling the resources at our disposal through the generosity of the people of God. But honestly, the thing that I'm most pumped about is to figure out, like, what are the best lessons that we've learned during this time of estrangement from one another. Like, how are we using stuff that we were not doing 6 months ago that is actually really going to help us as a church, as a people, going forward from this point on? And there's stuff like this, the live streaming.
Breathe.
The live streaming it's because I don't drink enough water. At St. Joseph's is, like, definitely beefed up, like, on another level from what I was used to. So that creates a certain amount of anxiety, as I'm, like, also the camera operator. I have to, like, run.
Are you the guy?
I'm
the guy. You check the audio levels. Look at you.
No, I'm terrible. I'm terrible at it. I'm so bad because I've, like, left the audio off for, at least a couple different live streams. I have left the camera, like, stuck on the ambo when everything's happening at the altar. So, like, it's zoomed in on the ambo. Nobody's at the ambo.
Funny story. So my wife edits a lot of.
It stresses me out. I get super stressed. I can't just say mass. I have to also, like, run this flippin' app at the same time, and then when people, oh my gosh, now my phone doesn't give me the updates, but it used to give me the running, like, Facebook commentary at the same time during the live stream. So then people would be, like, telling me intentions, and they'd be telling me, like, Father, like, you're not, we can't hear you or stuff, and I'd be like, like, so stressed out, just trying to manage all those things.
No, I got you right here. So me and my wife, we do video editing and video production for certain parishes that need it if they wanted online masses and things like that. So we did one parish that shall remain nameless. I don't think they watch this kind of stuff anyway, but it was one parish way back when, and way back early when this started, right? And the mic was on, but there's no audio. You can't hear. He's whispering, right? So you have like your Monsignor, your elderly priest, and then you have your pastor, and so they were doing mass, right? And at the end of mass, you genuflect and you kiss the altar. Real quick, Father Pat, why do you kiss the altar? Seems kind of icky. COVID. Why kiss the altar?
That's right. We're kissing the exact same spots as each other. Well, you venerate the altar at the beginning and end of Mass because, for one thing, that's the place of sacrifice. And it is Jesus Christ. Like Jesus Christ is both the table of sacrifice, the altar upon which the sacrifice, and the victim on the altar who is being sacrificed. So, in a sense, especially for the celibate priest, that is his commitment, his love, his affection for the person of Jesus Christ.
There you go. And so that's why you kiss the altar. And that's why I even say, if that's okay, like, I don't know if this is wrong. You can tell me if this is wrong, John. You could say, but when everything is cleared off during Lent or whatever, and the altar is barren, I kind of still do a little bow, like, because that's where the magic happens, right? And in our former podcast, we used to have the song, "This Magic Moment," like happen, during the, with the altar, but you can't do that because it's not magic. It's not manipulation. It's the real thing. Jesus has really come down, right? So there you go. Anyway, so back to the story. This priest has the microphone on, and me and my wife are like editing these videos, and then she's like, "Josh, come here," and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Listen to this," and I couldn't stop laughing because the pastor is talking to the Monsignor who can't hear, and he's like, and during the time of genuflection, and he goes, "Kiss the altar, kiss the altar, Dick, kiss the altar, Dick, are you gonna kiss the altar? Can you kiss the altar?" And he's like, it's like, and you pair it with the video, it's just amazing. Obviously, that's not gonna be, rolled out, but you never know what kind of things you'll catch. And it's a thing. His name is Richard, folks. Come on, but awesome.
I'm terrified of those hot mic moments. Like, I'm like constantly like trying to make sure, okay, is it on? Am I live? Like, am I going to accidentally say something, or even just like the inaudible, normally inaudible like groans as like I'm genuflecting, trying to get like all the way down and then trying to get back up again, like as things are creaking in my like overtaxed knees.
I wish, you know what also like, so back to your like formal kind of thing, like how have we changed? How have we gotten better? And this is one thing, and I've said it to conversations I've had with other parishes that are still kind of reluctant to get behind this whole social media thing, to get behind this new medium, the new change in how churches communicate to the faithful. And you as an associate priest, can you please, bring this, to your pastors, is that this isn't going away. This isn't like when the internet first came out and you were like, this is a fad. It ain't going, it doesn't have no legs. Social media, and I get this from my guy, Gary V. Gary Vaynerchuk is a big social media guy that I listen to. And he talks about how social media exposes, social media is not the enemy, but it does expose what's already there. So a person that is, consistently a good communicator, will put him on social media. He becomes a better communicator. You show this, right? And someone who doesn't communicate well, put him on social media, and it's not going to gain any traction because they're just lost in the sauce kind of thing. And so what I think the parish is like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? Like when you're asking for these masses, or you're asking for other people to run your social media accounts, like, no, like, what is it? If you just want announcements, like pulpit announcements on your social media, that's not going to attract people. Well, one, because maybe your announcement is only for like, men. Okay, well, or maybe it's only for kids. Great announcements. But I was once told by another social media account that I follow, Pro Church Tools is a Protestant, and they're miles ahead of Catholic churches, obviously, in terms of technology and media, because they invest in it, or they invest in people who are their specialty is to do this, right? And so one of the things is that they say that if your pulpit announcement is not intended for 50% of the congregation, it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there, because especially, and I've sat through 7 or 8 pulpit announcements, and you're just like, what? Like, you never hear it, and there's that. But then finally, when it comes to social media, it is not the pulpit announcement. It is not the virtual pulpit announcement. Social media is the party, is the gathering. This is where people are meeting, sipping their tea, gossiping, talking faith, possible seeds of conversion, right? Like, this is the party. So you want to host your own party? Like, do it. That's great. Like, this is what we're doing, right? Like, we're hosting the party, inviting people to come on in, right? But it is definitely not just another substitute for your website, or just like saying like, hey, we exist. Where is everybody? Hey, hi. Like, it's not that. You're putting on a party, and now does anybody want to come to the party? That's what it comes down to.
Wow.
As we, so I don't know. Okay. So I think coming out of this, we got to get into it. Coming out of this, we should be better communicators as a church. What say you?
I speak highly in favor of the motion on the floor. Like that would be a dream come true. Of course, I think some of the pushback is that I've read in the hearts of specifically clergy, but it's entirely possible that, like, your average Joe Catholic also has the same kind of like distaste for it. Is the idea that, okay, we're just moving everything online, and like it's just becoming more of an online thing. But that's not accurate, for one thing, because we all know where life still happens. Like, life still happens live and in person, and then like this has become a way to support the mission and keep in touch, not just during a time when we have to. Like, the urgency of the moment has, necessity is the mother of invention. It has forced the hand of a lot of us who were dwelling in the dark ages, myself included, like, first and foremost. But that being said, I think a lot of what's being established are lessons for good in all ways. Like, we have to keep this going, in one sense, because the church, under like the same principle, one of the two principles that guided the Second Vatican Council is, aggiornamento, like looking forward, moving forward in a forward direction to meet the signs of the times and to accurately understand. So, like, one of the concerns that I hear and think about the most and pray before the Lord about, like, well, what am I doing? What am I not doing? Is our generation, and the one right after us, is the millennial generation and Gen Z. You can't ignore what we've got. This is where, meeting the people of God, especially from those generations, will be demanded of us. Not just like an option of like, oh, and we could also do this over here, but now this is being established as like, we have to do this. The fact that there were so many parishes, at least in this archdiocese, that didn't have up-to-date websites until now, like that shows exactly where we are. Like, that's a foregone conclusion. You have to have a website. And now I think where we're trending towards is like, you have to utilize communication through social media of one kind or another. That's not to say that it isn't difficult, or tricky to learn, or require more education. But there's been this fearful response, and that's what I would encourage, especially the naysayers, to do. And maybe we're preaching to the choir, because there probably aren't a lot of people on social media or listening to podcasts who aren't open to this sort of thing already. But that being said, to my brother priests, to the clergy who are like, no, this isn't helpful, this is like pulling us backwards or weighing us down in some way. When the Spirit moves, at least in my life, it kind of comes back to our point about, the AND campaign, or at least the idea of, an ampersand to begin with. I learned years and years ago from a different medium entirely, from doing improvisation, right? That one of the guiding rules of improv is yes and, right? Yes and, like, I take your premise, I'm rolling with it, I'm not running against you or saying no, that's stupid. I want to do this scene instead. Like, no, that's where we're taking it. Okay, and let me also add to it. So people's resistance to like the topic of the moment, like social media in church ministry, I think turns into a but no attitude of like, but no, we can't really do that because we have these concerns. You may have legitimate concerns. I have legitimate concerns, about any number of these things. Well, there should be a spirit that moves us, impels us to find but you know what? Like, and we can think about this. Like, we can look for the solution to that problem rather than believing like, no, this is a hard no, like this point no further, no entry beyond this point, kind of like full stop, an octagonal sign, rather than like a yield or a caution. Like, I think some of those stop signs are actually just cautions, like proceed carefully with prudence and discernment, but don't just turn it off and be like, no, we're not going to do that. This is favorite phrase of the COVID times, the new normal.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Holy Ruckus podcast. You've been watching the Holy Ruckus podcast on Facebook Live. Please, if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. Follow where you can. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. But also, Father Pat, you're going to give these folks a virtual blessing. What do you say?
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Let me just echo Josh's word of gratitude for those who are supporting this media. I love the bumps in the road. I'm borrowing from Davey Martinez and the Nationals. Like, often bumpy roads lead to beautiful places. We're on a bumpy road right now. We're not perfectly executing these things as a church, but we are going to figure it out. We are headed towards a better place.
Read that last comment right there, Father, real quick before you give us a blessing.
Has anyone ever heard anyone rip it or snore up there with a hot mic? These are my fears, Rebecca. This is exactly what I'm worried about happening. Like, when my brother preacher is not bringing it, and I forgot to mute my mic. I have not personally heard it, but I can tell a different embarrassing story on myself, because I have no shame. So I was homeschooled, go figure, back in the day for about 10 years, second grade to 12th. And then for the first time in the 11th grade, started taking classes in person once again. And they're very different mediums, obviously. So I was at Montgomery College taking an English class. We're doing an in-class assignment. And literally just totally mindlessly, without thinking, I'm thinking I'm at my mother's kitchen, in my home, the privacy of my home. I have, you know where this is going. So, like, we're doing the assignment. I'm writing on my paper. Everybody's heads are down. Without a second thought, I leaned over and I let it go. And it was loud and it was noisy and it was noticeable. And like, the people around me like stopped. They didn't quite like turn around and look, because it was college rather than high school, but still, I'm like red in the face. I'm like, as like crazy. I'm a total cardinal. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I really just do it? It was literally like one of those comedic, cartoonish moments where I'm like writing on my piece of paper. Oh my God. So
I had someone on their desk, like, behind you, like,
dude. They were, oh my gosh. Yeah, it was a beautiful difference of like, you can't do that in middle school, high school without paying for it dearly for like the rest of the year. It was college. People were just kind of like, wow.
It was college? There you go.
Yeah, I was a junior taking classes at
there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been rocking with the best, the Holy Ruckus podcast. Father Pat, give them a little blessing, send them on their way.
The Lord bless you and keep you. His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you with kindness and give you his peace. and inspire you by the Holy Spirit to fearlessly and boldly to proclaim the gospel, the truth of the gospel, even meeting the signs of the times and adhering to the truth and virtue when we witness to our neighbor in finding the right way forward for our country, for ourselves, for our church. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, Father Pat. Thank you so much. Also, guys, please know that even though we gave this blessing and it is free, we don't play no games. This is a free blessing. This is not a substitute for your mass. If you have a dispensation from your diocese to not go to mass, all right, I got you. Stay safe, but do not be sleeping. Quit sleeping on your faith. Try to get in there with a virtual group, a prayer group, a ladies group, a dudes group. Join us on the Holy Ruckus podcast. There's so much untapped resources that we have yet to find to start inching our way ever closer to communion with our Lord. If you can't make it to mass or you're not ready yet, okay, cool. Find different ways. How am I going closer to our Lord? If that's what we're doing, let's do it. All right, guys. And with that said, you can also check out all the other podcasts. But also, I don't know if you guys remember Father Dan Leary, one of our awesome pastors from the Holy Ruckus, who's always done contact with us. He's over in Mexico right now. He's producing a podcast with the author Kevin Wells, who's a friend. He wrote the book, The Priest We Need to Save the Church. They're doing a podcast called 1-to-1, which is available on the Holy Ruckus Podcast Network. Check that out as well. That's it. Father Pat. Anything else?
Like and subscribe. Check out our Patreon, and we'll see you in the future.
All right. See you guys later.